Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I am putting together some Cajun Alfredo, and I started with my cast iron skillet. The recipe calls for 4 chicken breasts, but I had a couple of extra small ones that I'm going to put in there too. But I'm going to put this in some Cajun blackening spice, and then put this in my cast iron to blacken the chicken on both sides. And then I'm going to put it in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes. So it goes ahead and cooks, and then I'll cut it up in strips, and then I'll show you the rest of the process for making the Cajun Alfredos. Okay, so I put my chicken in the oven and for about 15 minutes because it was a little thicker, and then I cut it on the bias, and then in that same pan that I had blackened the chicken in, I put 3 tablespoons of garlic and let that become aromatic, and then I added a cup of julienne cut sun-dried tomatoes, and I chopped those up a little bit finer. And then I put in a 1/4 cup of wine to deglaze this and get all the remnants of the chicken from the bottom of the pan. Okay. Now I'm going to add in 3 cups of heavy cream, and I'm going to let this cook until it starts to thicken. And it will reduce in half. Once it warms a little bit, I'll go ahead and add my chicken back in. I want this to come up to a simmer. And cast iron is so good about holding heat, so it won't take it very long. Add my meat in. Chicken. Continue to stir it. Bring this up to a simmer. Once this comes to a simmer and reduces just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add my Parmesan cheese, and I'm probably only going to add about 3/4 of what's in my bowl, because then we'll be able to put the rest on top of our fettuccine with the sauce on it. You can add salt and pepper at this point. Again, just keep cooking till it reduces by half and starts to thicken. Our sauce has reduced, and I want to remind you, you can't be impatient because it does take it a while, so you just need to stir it every so often with it at a simmer. Now I'm going to add in 3/4 of my Parmesan that I've measured out and stir that in and let it heat through. Now, there are 2 schools of thought, and I'm usually the first, but my pan's not big enough. Some people like to just go ahead and put their pasta in the sauce and let that warm through. And others would rather take the sauce and make a nest of the pasta and put the sauce over it. So it's whichever way you prefer. I'm doing the second just because my pan isn't deep enough to hold all my pasta. So I'm going to let that cook through with the cheese in it. I've got this to garnish with. Let me put a little more of this in because I don't need that much to garnish. And then this will be ready to serve. Hello, welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. I have a new camera operator back there and he's making me laugh, so sorry. Tonight we're going to share a recipe for Southwest pork chops, and I just want to welcome you in and hope you enjoy this recipe, and I'm going to show you how to make it. So in one of my 2 frying pans, I have 4 thick pork chops that are just browning up a little bit. In the other one, I'm going to saute about 1/4 of an onion. And I'm going to add in 1½ teaspoons of minced garlic. And I just want to cook that until the onion is beginning to become translucent. So really basically we're just searing those pork chops, and you want to make sure you get a bone-in pork chop that's a thick cut pork chop. And a lot of times, most of the time, this would be served over rice, but tonight we're doing some twice-baked potatoes, and so we're going to have those, the twice-baked potatoes with our Southwest pork chop. Okay, that's smelling really great. We like a lot of different foods, but Southwest foods seem to be one of our favorites. And we have a tendency to eat more beef and chicken than we do pork, even though we like pork. Okay, then I've drained a 28-ounce can of petite diced tomatoes. Now you can use 2 14.5-ounce cans if you want to, but I'm going to add that to it. Make sure they're well drained. And I'm also going to put in a can of black beans that I've drained, rinsed, and then 3/4 cup of chicken broth. You can see why this would be really good over rice. I'm going to stir that together, and then I'm going to start adding in my spices. Okay, for spices, I have chili powder, oregano, I have 1½ teaspoons of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, and I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I'm going to add that in. And you can either add your salt and pepper here, or you can salt and pepper your pork chops. I'd be careful if you do both, because chicken broth, unless you buy the low sodium chicken broth, you just don't want to get too much. Okay. I'm going to cook this until it comes to a boil, and then I want to reduce it and let it simmer for 4 to 5 minutes. Check my pork chops. And I'm going to let them go just a little bit longer on that side. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil, let it simmer for 4 or 5 minutes while those are browning, and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. So as you can see, we have a nice sear on our pork chops, and so now we're going to take that mixture of beans and tomatoes and onions, garlic, spices, and pour it over the top of our pork chop. Spread out evenly. I'm going to cover and simmer this for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then it will be ready to serve. Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.